Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Poseidcast. With me tonight, I have a man who certainly needs no introduction. If you know anything about MK, especially the competitive community, then you know this man, no doubt. With me tonight, I have Mr. Aquaman, or Mr. Aqua, you know now? Is that what it is? I'm sorry, I have a hard time.
Hey, my name's just a little bit slimmer, like I am. That's all. That's all it
Oh,
is.
I remember you say that's actually true, because you lost all that, yeah. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you so much for all you've done for the community in general, like the runner of the Coliseum. Just been commentating this as long as I've been in the community. Um, what was the first thing that like got you into like the community, or how you discovered it, or like did you just show up to a tournament? Like, take us through that.
So I found the competitive community through what had initially begun with my local GameStop way back
That's
in the
classic.
day. Yeah, 2012, 2011 was a big year for GameStop and GameStop tournaments. So when a game came out, depending on the game, they always hosted launch tournaments for it. At least my local ones did. Had some great reps, had some great managers. It was really fun. And my buddy dragged me to a Street Fighter 4 one. I didn't compete. I liked everything I saw. It was awesome. And that was my first fighting game that I really tried, like multiplayer wise. As a kid, I tried a lot of fighting games, right? But Street Fighter 4 was the first like online one where I'm fighting against someone else, and it was person on person, and I actually had time to figure it out. And something about that I really messed with. I really like that. In comparison to team sports and team games where you have four other people that you have to worry about, and it's a group effort in order to win or lose. Whereas in fighting games, it's only you and your opponent. There's no one else to blame but yourself for your losses, and that was such a big turn on for me at a competitive level. And I don't know why, but one-on-one bracketology, I was already heavily into that stuff. I was a tennis player growing up, and I was a tennis competitor and a tennis coach at that time.
Oh, really?
So a lot of similarities. It was one-on-one bracketology competitions. This very awesome thing. And to see it happen on a digital level, I was like, "Oh man, this is awesome!" And even cooler. You mean I don't got to go out there and sweat my ass off for 6 hours in order to enjoy this? Awesome! This is great. Uh, and
Amazing.
through there, it was. I give my buddy full credit for kind of dragging me in a little bit, but he showed me. I ended up buying a Super Street Fighter 4 when it came out, and he dragged me to a tournament, and I competed in it and had a great time, and competed in some more Street Fighter tournaments, Super Street Fighter tournaments, until Mortal Kombat 9 had come out. And then with Mortal Kombat 9 came out, my buddy, we had done some GameStop tournaments, and then he showed me, oddly enough, testermite.com,
Oh,
which
okay.
which at the time was kind of the home for competitive Mortal Kombat. It was just the place to go if you wanted to figure or find out anything about it. And just going there, found I kid you not, a random thread that was some dude that was like, I'm hosting Mortal Kombat 9 at my apartment. Come play and come hang out if you want to. And me and my buddy were like, awesome, we're in this area, we're gonna go to that. And that was my introduction to the FGC offline Mortal
That's
Kombat
pretty
scene.
sick. Yeah,
Was that
that's
guy from that thread with my buddy. We showed up to his house in a monsoon. It was raining its ass off. But we got to play some Mortal Kombat 9 offline, and he introduced us to tournaments. And then we got to travel to our first tournament, and from there, history kind of happened. And his name was Blackula, a Kenshi
Blackula.
player from back in Mortal Kombat 9. He was absolutely incredible. Competed pretty heavily up until Mortal Kombat X.
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's been really active there on the East Coast, and that whole scene kind of brought me in. And from there, I've been active since over 10 years.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. So when did the transition into like commentary and stuff? Because you mentioned that you were a competitor for a little while. When did that all happen? And is that something you have like big goals, aspirations with? I mean, you pretty much have done. I feel like everything commentated Evo.
You
Done
know,
all
the,
these
the,
fancy
your,
tournaments and stuff.
your second question was probably the more interesting of the two for me of late, because it's only of late where I do have the feeling of I'm currently running out of stuff to do in the Mortal Kombat competitive community, as far as like what events I've worked, what I've even been able to, like, even what type of events,
Yeah.
team events, formats, just changing things up. So that is by far something that I'm currently struggling with. Is like more stuff to do, because oddly enough, commentary wasn't the thing that I wanted to do or even be known for, or I had aspirations for. I fell into commentary because I had a love for putting the events together themselves. And I started out as only a competitor for quite a few years, with Mortal Kombat 9 and Injustice 1. And by the end of Injustice 1, this would be like 2014-ish, where I started to host online tournaments and offline tournaments. I started my own local there in Virginia, and started hosting my very first event I ever hosted was a tournament online where all of the money paid for the winner to go to the next tournament.
Ooh, okay.
And so I've been doing stuff like that ever since almost 2012.
Wow.
And like 2013. So
12 years.
It's just
Yeah.
So all that stuff I have been doing much longer than I think even people realize, because this was all just done through word of mouth.
Yeah, like maybe you made a Facebook page or something like that.
Yeah. And like it was crazy we were just so grassroots at the time, and again things kind of took off from there.
Yeah. That's really cool. So you've been said commentating, or you even said hosting events for a long time now. And as someone who also hosts events, it's like whenever you run an event, like something has to go wrong, like 100% of the time. Like it's
Yes.
like the stream or the players, someone's not there.
Real
You're playing
quick.
people. What?
My biggest event ever was a massive offline tournament. I'm super proud of it. It had one of the biggest prize pools for Mortal Kombat outside of Warner Brothers money ever, especially at the time. Held there in Virginia. Sonic Fox Grand Finals it was huge. But during that event, one of my first offlines, I had my very first panic attack. That should go to show you the amount of stress and how many things went wrong just in that event. That event, I had the first panic attack in my life.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, there's just like constant like stimuli, constant people like needing you or like hoping things want to go well, and you want to like fine tune all these details, but then there's like this big thing or this general thing.
There's what you planned, and then there's everything that happens, and then there's everything that actually happens.
Yeah. And it's like 100%. And especially like with online, like have you had any instances where like it's like a connection thing and it's like I didn't make the net code, like
the time.
And then you have to make a decision when either the person who gets it's made against is mad, or the person who made the accusations mad.
Both.
It's like, yeah.
Both ways all the time. And then there's hardware issues. There's internet issues themselves, where I've had my internet go out during multiple massive shows with thousands of viewers.
Oh my god.
Yeah, my internet goes out. I go to a backup of someone else. Their internet goes out. I've had that happen one time. One time I had everyone's internet go out, and I'm just
like a movie. Yeah.
We're fucked. Yeah. Game over.
It's just kind of, I don't know what to do. I don't know. Yeah. It's like no, I have.
So those moments, they do happen a lot when it comes to putting events together and trying to execute them. But one thing I like to talk about too is with the secret weapon that we have, or that you guys should realize that you have, is that when things go wrong, at least while you're live and it's fixable or just something minute, is to absolutely use that to your advantage. And I do this even on pro competition. I especially when I'm in a big show and like it's a very important, like, how do I put this? The more I'm paid, like the more effective this is. And this is crazy. like the bigger chucks. I've been on TV and I use this exact trick where if something goes wrong, you want to, or I try to use that to my advantage in making it, something fun and use it as a positive. And it's something that to me has always actually saved shows, because it'll actually completely change the energy of the show. It puts me in like emergency fix mode. And on the mic, it usually translates to a lot of funny stuff, because you start to say and get really loose at that point. So I see mistakes, some professionals look at mistakes and issues that come up, like a sound issue or a graphic issue not working, as like, oh my god, what the shit in the world? I'm like, oh, thank God, I'm like, oh, let's go, let's have some fun with it.
Yeah, that's funny.
So there's a lot of ways that you can take stuff like that, but yeah, when you can't even do this show, that's a little bit of a different story.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely like, they say like when like fans do lemons, you make lemonade or whatever. It's like, this is like understanding.
Every time my co-commentator turns into a robot, I like to have fun with it,
Yeah. Well, do you have like I guess I don't. You don't need to call anyone out, but do you have an example where you felt like you kind of needed to carry the show like that? You said it's like like you were commentating with someone and they were kind of like freezing because you can get like stage fright and stuff like that, right? 'Cause especially you've hosted really big events.
Things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely been a few where you have to, recognize that someone's a little more on the timid side on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's because of experience or not, but it's very easy to pick up on and for me to go, okay, I gotta carry and let's go
Yeah.
go until they don't talk. But there's definitely been a few. I won't necessarily name drop,
Yeah.
but there are definitely people that have commentated, really big stuff that they have a style, and maybe part of that style necessarily is not saying a lot until they have their thing to do.
Yeah.
So everyone's different, and I always go in there kind of with an adaptation approach where I kind of go in not with a plan, and then I see what they throw at me, and then I adapt.
Yeah.
For the most part, a lot of people are different. They try to talk with them ahead of time. I'm like, let's go in raw.
Yeah. No, I'm generally the same way. I feel like it's almost like you can't because like especially when you're commentating, like what's happening in a match is always going to be fresh. It's always going to be new. Like you can have like your knowledge and it's good to have that, but whatever's happening is going to be happening in real time. And you gotta essentially make the story that goes along with that.
Yeah, that's right. And how many notes I can go into an event with and end up not using those notes at all because I just. Once you go, you go.
Yeah, and then you just like forget about it, and then you're at the end. It's like, oh, I forgot to say that. I mentioned.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, I did all that for nothing. Or, I could have said all these good things about this player, all these stats and all these histories, and no one's gonna know.
no one's gonna understand. So, definitely, like right now in the competitive community, we're in a bit of like. I don't say like a dark age. We just don't. I feel like the competitive future of Mortal Kombat is a bit uncertain. I feel like we're kind of reliant right now on WB kind of coming to save the day with a big announcement of like Pro Tour with a bunch of stops and stuff, and like really like done out and fleshed out. Because the first one was kind of seemed like it was kind of just thrown out there, like this is something. Game just came out. Have this.
Game came out. It came out. It was announced. Weeks and days before events that people. To this day, I have conversations with people that are still upset about them not being able to go to like certain bigger international events just because they didn't have time to plan for it. But you're right. We're currently sitting in a spot where we don't even know if there is another one for this game, and definitely in a state of limbo. We're at a time where, at least to me, outside looking in, it's one of the worst states we've ever been in as far as what our community looks like without that WB support, and without locals and without our grassroots scene that had been prevalent and strong for quite some time, but throughout the digital age has just plummeted, and that's not too a lot of people's fault. Weeklies themselves and locals have been getting hit hard across the board, and the unfortunate thing is that Mortal Kombat just wasn't very large to begin with, and we haven't been able to kind of reestablish much anywhere. There's a couple locals happening across the country. We got Arma still hosting some. I know that Florida hosts a couple. We have I think 3 here in Texas as well. I know of about 2 or 3 in California, Chicago. So they're active.
Like the bigger cities have like a small local scene. Like,
but even those we don't tend to put a focus on, or try to focus on the actual communities and sub-communities and local and regional structure that could be our community, especially here in the States, because that's what fueled us for quite a long time, and that's what fueled the fighting game community for a long time. And so if that's kind of how currently things stand to me, is it's looking rough. Yeah, it's looking rough.
We need people to show up. What it comes down to, like, it can be hard, I know, because it's like to gather people together, people need to travel from, because like what's within a city, like New York City maybe has a lot of people or something, and that's the scene that have their locals. But like other than that, like just if you have a local scene going out to that, or like I drive an hour and a half for 6, 7, 8-man locals sometimes, because it's just that's the only thing that I have, and I don't want that to die, and I feel like almost like an obligation to go, and I think that's a good thing if you want the scene to thrive. Like
absolutely.
I've been hosting Injustice 2 tournaments recently, and it's like I kind of went to like the top players and like, hey, like this community, like in this like event is going to grow based off when you guys show up. Like if you guys like, like you don't have to show up, but like if you want the community to grow, you kind of have to show up because then that's what's going to build the storylines, the
Yeah,
rivalries,
that's right.
the player, the consistency, like what goes around this player. Like when Sonic Fox enters an event, it's like it's like that brings attention. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah, and on top of that, there is another side of things, which is the fact that right now, there is less emphasis on community because everyone can be, and I'm not saying it should be, but there's been a massive shift on being self-focused and
mhm,
solo-focused because that's where success can be, and that's where now um, people trying to get supplementary income from.
mhm.
And when you're focused on that, you're not focused on everything else,
Yeah,
right? And
100%.
a lot, not just a lot of Mortal Kombat players, but just a lot of the FGC and a lot of gamers, myself included, all of us have kind of got fell into that thing where now how do we go? How do we do both, or how do both exist at the same time where everyone's self-focused? All the big players are. That's
Yeah.
where the money is. That's where their focus is. Staying not only relevant but um, keeping that going, because if you aren't on it, then I mean, as all streamers know, then it can die as quick as it rises. So crazy spot to be in for sure, man. Crazy spot.
Yeah, because like me and Skash have been hosting Rivalry TV for a long time now. It's been over like 3 years at this point. We hosted some events even before that, and
Congrats, by the way.
to
Long
this,
time.
thank you, I appreciate it. And till this day, our biggest YouTube videos are two events that Ninja Killer showed up to, and we just
Wow.
uploaded those sets, and those are
Yep.
by far still getting views today. Like it's just like when I know it's like there isn't like they don't have to, and they can do whatever they want. But like I said, when you have these top players and they show up, like I said, it brings a lot of attention. So if they're
Yeah.
WB isn't showing up,
Apply that to anything,
yeah,
and you're absolutely right.
mm,
If all of our guys showed up to all events, or
or at least some like three,
more
four a
events,
year.
right? Some, it'd
Yeah,
be a whole different story.
yeah,
Or at least a better story,
mm,
from the outside looking in, for all the viewers and for everyone that again feeds into what could be or should be some kind of
mm,
ecosystem that we got going on. If that's where
mm,
everyone wants it to go, because that's what it's going to take, is everyone wanting to get it to go there,
yeah,
and then doing something. And that's also something is that, and again, everyone's so self-focused that what it's going to take is people stepping up, putting in effort. And it's a really crazy time to try to do that, because also on top of that is, I hate to say it, but the economy.
yeah. No, for real, no, 100%.
Oh my god, a lot of people are getting rocked right now, and I understand that too.
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, like we're
Woo!
playing a video game, and
Yeah.
in an economy where you're sacrificing things,
Bills in life do,
100%
family
prioritize.
family life and bills, and again, life should definitely have a focus
Yeah.
for us, and in an increasing time where that should be focused more. Yeah, I get it that a lot less people care about you know Mortal, the state of competitive Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, especially when you go to take care of your family, and you are trying to get the supplemental income, like not spending $300-400 every couple weeks
Yeah,
to
every couple
stay at a
weeks
hotel
for
and
just
drive away, and like you have to spend half a day driving there, then a half a day driving back, and it's like it's a whole 4 or 5 days just kind of like out the window in a way.
yeah.
And you got to take time off from work, or if you're lucky enough to have PTO or like that. But
That's right. Yeah. So again, a lot of factors go into it, but
mm,
that is currently, I think, how things stand, and how we possibly get to that coming back. I'm not sure, because again, the times that we're in, they're weird and different, man. They're weird and different.
yeah, 100%. I guess this would be a fun question to ask, but on this topic, do you think like, 'cause we kind of speculated, what could potentially happen that would make it like grow, but like, do you think we need like WB needs to make some big announcement, or what do you like, or do you think we can actually sustain like, and kind of, I think we got the rally
Man,
behind some of the TOs like you and Rips and Destroyer, but I digress. You can go on.
yeah. So I mean, from an online standpoint, I think that NRS kind of has one of the strongest online tournament scenes that exists
100%.
in the first place. So in that regard, things would be okay. But again, on an FGC level, if WB doesn't announce something big or get involved, then I think we're kind of screwed in that regard.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because look at how many people just looked at like Tekken and Street Fighter as a game, but their tours,
Mm-hmm.
and then they compare and they go, man, you guys are messing up.
Yeah,
and, and
and
and so yeah, in that regard, I would like to see WB step up and give us something big. And I mean,
um,
they've been promising. So, and I've
have
been
they been
told
promising? They've been promising.
I've been told longer support on these games, man.
Yeah, I was told like they're going to support the game. What does that mean?
Yep.
Because it's always like an asterisk, like competitive. Like they're never like they
That's
announce the
right.
tours, but they're never like, oh, we're going to support the game competitively. Because like, I mean, I guess they kind of did for MK11. We had the online because of the shutdown and stuff. So, but then like once they stopped updating the game, there was nothing. It was just like there was like combo break or bigger tournaments that like ran MK, but that was basically it. And then
Which is
online, which is
Yeah, and they do things a little bit differently now.
mm,
But back when they first got involved with competitive was MKX,
mm,
and they didn't host a lot themselves, other than one online series that led into a finale, the MKX Pro League,
mm,
incredible series. But outside of that, they just gave pop bonuses to what was already established in the FGC. So all the tournaments that were being held, they just got a pop bonus if they held MK, and they called it a day. And so all that did was feed into that kind of FGC ecosystem. Whereas now they're all doing it themselves, and it's definitely forming a weird thing. I don't even know what to call it. That's
I can't even describe it either. I'm sorry.
yeah. I can't even describe what I'm talking about. Therefore,
Yeah.
I can't even describe what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I feel like that's a little bit of a factor too.
Interesting. So you talked about how you said you've done a lot, in the commentary realm. Do you have any like ambitions as like a player or a well, obviously you TO as well, but like are you where are your I guess where do your future ambitions lie? Like do you plan on being ever super competitive with the game, or do you think like TOing and commentary will always kind of be where your main focus is?
Um, I get that feeling from time to time to compete, man. And MK1's the closest I've gotten in a long time. But for the most part, I do like the event side and the back end side of things a lot. And I have no idea where I'm going to go, if I'm being honest with you, in the future. Not a single clue, but I definitely plan on being around. So
That's awesome. Because we definitely need.
I'll be doing something.
Always be doing something. Yeah, that's
Always be doing something.
that's fair. Because that's like with me. I got into this as a competitor, and I still like compete. And I've said this a lot, and I'll say it again. But like I'm a competitor first. Like if everything kind of fell apart and I could only hold on to a few things, being competitor and like going to my locals and going to like a few majors a year will always take priority over doing the sidecast or even like tournaments or TOing and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, and it's one thing I find myself getting the most kind of soaked into, even when I'm at an event for commentary. I'll like go up to all the top 8 guys or like all the guys that are there to play, and I'll be like, let's play. I'm always right there on there grinding, and that also feeds into the commentary stuff. And for anyone that's watching this, like I just want to be a commentator or something. One of my secret weapons is still competing and playing against the best players that I can on a consistent basis, just so I can keep absorbing what they're doing, and then be able to also keep an edge on the blade, as it were.
Yeah. Like if you look at some of like the best like sports commentators, like they're usually just past players, and they have such an in-depth knowledge of what they did as a player that when they're commentating, they can like understand on a level that someone who didn't play the game wouldn't be able to. So that's actually really cool.
And it's so great to be able to like sit down with someone like, for instance, at Final Combat, I'm able to sit down with someone like Mako and dissect his brain for 20 minutes straight. And that is just the most like the greatest resource imaginable as a commentator. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so like you get their talent, you absorb it a little
bit. Exactly. I stole their talent. And then as a commentator later on, I'm able to reflect on all of that, and through watching his play, be able to break something down that never would have thought was possible before, because I know what he was thinking in that moment or something like that.
really cool, really cool.
So you never know, and it's also a respect thing because in the FGC you have to be able to back up your talk, otherwise. You're not going to get very far. And for everyone, if you want to be serious about this, and if you want to earn any kind of following or respect, you have to earn it here in the FGC. And a lot of people miss that step. They come in and they expect all of this, without doing really anything much to earn people's respect, especially established people's respect and people that have been doing it for a long time, or competitors. If you can't show that you know what you're talking about, then most people won't listen.
Yeah. No, that's completely fair. No, it definitely is like a grind, like in any capacity. Like just the pure amount of hours. Like I look back and like the game's been out a year now, and I think like most days, 9 out of 10 times, I have played Mortal Kombat at some point. Like there's been like a week off here, a day off here, whatever. But most of the time, I'm playing it or like thinking about it in some capacity, or running an event, or editing a video, or
watching
like
it, or like looking at tech and going, "I'm stealing that."
Yeah, no, 100%. That's a big thing. That's like a cheat code, is watching other people, like, or just like going back and like watching what you do. It's like, oh, you made that mistake. I should not do that again. But it's like, but then I rarely do it, and I won't watch them for like 3 months, and I'll go back like I should definitely do that again, or do that more.
Yeah, so a lot of people take that approach on commentary too, and I don't. I did like a couple times back in the day, but I no longer ever listen to myself back on commentary ever.
Yeah, I sometimes do. I don't like purposely do it, but like I do a lot of video editing for Shari TV as well. So sometimes you just hear it in the background, or if I'm making a video for myself.
I hate editing. I'm like, shut up, Aqua! Shut the fuck up!
Yeah,
no. I have to hear you.
Yeah,
the whole time.
Sometimes I make such a bad joke, or it's like, oh my god. Yeah, you just fall right. Yeah. Yeah, and this like hearing your own voice is just weird in general sometimes.
But I do remember the few times where I used to actually go pretty hard, where I was pretty try-hardy as a commentator, where I was taking it very analytical and looking at footage of what my partner was doing at the time, and looking to very very craft the art form that is commentary. And I do remember. It being what I consider like my best commentary ever was like when I was doing that kind of stuff on a professional level. Yeah. So there's definitely multiple ways to approach that as well.
Yeah, 100%. Because there's there was like one time where I just kind of went on a rant one time when I was commentating, and the commentators were like dying laughing, and then we made like a channel point reward where it was like, if you watch the stream a lot, you can claim this. It was called like the hot rod. Hot rod, where he kind of like gets hyped up, and and I would just kind of just rant for like a whole match or something like that. And I didn't like doing it. I just did it once, like it was kind of fun, it was whatever. And then people like would claim it and want to watch it, and then I would have to hear like comments like the YouTube videos or while it was going on, like this is cringe or whatever. And I kind of like I feel like there's a way where it kind of has to be natural in a way. Sometimes you just kind of feel it, and like and the more you commentate, the more like natural it feels, for sure.
Yeah, and there's that give and take with the audience that's always going to be there. They will always keep you in check,
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Which is definitely good. I feel so. You have been around obviously the community for a while. And at this point, you're definitely like a leader in the community. Do you ever like is it like you like there's a perception out there of like the way people view Mortal Kombat. Like we were talking a little bit earlier, and you mentioned that like the FGC in general.
Oh, do you want me to say it?
You can say it.
So yeah, there is this. There's a lot of underlying issues, with MK, of course, and MK within the FGC. But here's a surprising one that I will gladly say out loud and from the top of the mountain, which is the simple fact that the rest of the FGC just hates MK. They don't like it. They don't and openly don't want us to even be at these events. So that's not good.
Yeah. Because like we definitely need the FGC in general to survive. I mean, like events like Combo Breaker, CEO, Evo, or FGC events at heart, and they're going to do what it takes to thrive themselves. And
Absolutely.
and when MK becomes potentially more expensive than it's worth, then they're going to make a financial decision. They don't have any loyalty to something that isn't going to make it money. You know what I mean? Because it's a business.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
That's what worries me right now is that I do see a future where if we don't have Pro Tours still going for Mortal Kombat, that bigger events simply just squeeze us out because not enough people are going to show up because there's not enough money and everyone's at home streaming or playing online tournaments, or they quit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And that's definitely a potential reality we could do. And in a way, like I kind of would like hate it in the shadows and be like, maybe like to my friends, I'll be like, I don't know why everyone's like this, like that. But with this game especially, I've been more open. I've been fighting people on Twitter, going back and forth, jawing with people. Tom Brady, going back and forth with that dude multiple times. Like,
I've been fighting the fight for a long time, and one of the main reasons I do what I do and have done what I've done, and I've never said this openly before, but literally one of the main reasons I do what I do is it was to try to get us more respect and more ingrained into the FGC more, because I knew that in order to stay successful, in order to stay alive, kind of in the FGC, you have to.
Yeah.
You kind of have to play that game. You need locals feeding into majors. You need everyone showing up. You need everyone involved. It's a community effort, like they like to say.
Yeah, like the TOing is basically like for free. It's voluntary. Like you're the first one there. You're the last one to leave. You're the first person to get blamed if something goes wrong. And unless you do it for like a really long time and start to become successful at it, it's basically running at a loss. Like a lot of times you have to pay like for the venue, or you have to cover like setups, or there's some sort of upfront cost it's all basically voluntary.
I ran 2 offline tournaments, and both were a substantial loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I've done plenty. I used to run the Smash luck wall here, and the reason
are getting rough.
Yeah. I mean, Smash is fortunately, for some reason, super strong when it comes to locals. You'll have 20, 30 man locals in the smallest cities for some reason, but for FGC, it's hard to get people out. Even Street Fighter and Tekken, the bigger ones, they don't have the biggest locals unless you're in a huge city.
Yeah, and I do feel like the rest of the FGC is starting to struggle a little bit more with that, because I do see locals getting less and less and less. But these, these major tournaments are getting more and more and more. So hey, there is growth overall. Stream numbers are still really good across the board, and there's definitely some positives out there too that we can talk about. But there are those underlying negatives that when you look at the current climate of how MK's looking, it's the forecast is kind of crazy, and it's looking a little rough.
Yeah, and what's kind of sad about that is I have like I said, I came from the Smash community. I have a lot of friends, so I'll talk to them, and they'll be like, "I'm getting into the FGC." They don't even know what game yet. They're just like, "I've been watching a lot of fighting games, enjoying it, playing a little Street Fighter, a little Tekken, And I was like, I'd be like, but they're like, "I don't know what game yet." And I'm like, "MK? Have you tried MK? Have you looked at MK?" And they'll be like, "I don't know what game yet, but definitely not MK." And I've had that conversation at least with 10 different people.
So many people. And man, like trying to at a tournament, I cannot tell you guys how long I've been trying to get Punk to continue to play our games.
Because he's good at them too. He's so good at them.
He's so good. He's so good. But the moment I walk up to him, he goes, "Man, I'm not playing no Mortal Kombat." And I'm like, "Come on, Punk!
Come on, Punk! You would come on! We need
come on!"
Oh man! Again, I remember he did so good at the CEO Taku. Is that what it was? He made it to grand finals, almost won. And then I saw him tweet. He was like, "Yeah, I think that's my first and last Mortal Kombat tournament." I was like, "Oh no," because it's even if he wasn't a super top player, he's just such a big personality and stuff. He's just so
Second
cool.
place was too low for him, man.
That's how good. That's a crazy standard.
That's how Punk is.
Probably went in one Street Fighter.
But so many examples like that throughout the years too, of so many other people from other games and communities that I'll try to be like, "Hey, you want to play some Mortal Kombat?" And they're like,
the kids playing babe, you ask the popular kids that walk by the lunch table, "Hey, you want to play Yu-Gi-Oh with us?" And they're like,
"Yeah," I'm like, "No, you, we're playing Magic."
Yeah, fuck
it's
you.
F you, man. Yeah, exactly. Whatever, man.
Yeah, well, what a time it is.
You know, that and one other crazy, just small sub genres we can talk about too is the fact that these other games have their arcade era players like still active and
Yeah.
around, whereas we never had that. Well, we had it, but it
Mm.
never established into what the FGC had established into, and then carry on throughout the ages.
Yeah.
All of our classic players are its own sub community in literally in another realm somewhere.
Yeah, and
I
it's
don't even know where they come together or meet,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
somewhere.
I would love for there to be because like where they had these MK tournaments have some of the older games like more regularly. Like there
Yeah.
was more consistent MKX tournaments because that community still has a pretty like sizable community. Like even MK9, like UMK3. I know like at least like something like South America, they have like an actual like really big like UMK3
Yes, they
scene,
do.
something like that. So it's like it's cool, and I feel like
Brazil.
they it can all like exist, and there is like this kind of like thing that goes around. It's like social media where people talk about, well, this game takes no skill, and this one's the best one. And it's like, well, why don't you play that one? Like, why don't you like try to run events for that one? Like, why don't you make content around that game and try to build a community for it instead of like just shitting on the most
Yeah.
active game because that only serves to hurt everyone. There's a bunch of cutting off your arm despite your hand. It's like I don't like this game, so let me harm the grassroots community. Like,
and and then it's pretty crazy because this has happened to multiple games I feel like in a row in these last couple of years where a lot of people will shit on MK and then a couple months later it's everyone shitting on their game for that reason and I'm
yeah,
like
really, no, it really is.
because Tekken's currently getting flamed for and all the quote tweets I see I'm like are they talking about Mortal Kombat? But no, they are talking about Tekken and I've seen the same thing happen to every like no one wants to admit, but every fighting game goes through like the same exact cycle, and every fighting game community's kind of the same, where they're all turning on the games eventually, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, because like when you think about most video games that you play, you don't play them for that long. I play them for like a week, maybe two, and then you kind of put it away. Maybe you bring it back out every now and then. But like for a fighting game, especially for like MK, like I've been playing it consistently for a year straight. MK11, I played consistently for like 3 years straight, and it's understandable that you're gonna be bored, or it's understandable that you're gonna put a lot of time into a game like that, love it, and then when the next game comes out, you're not gonna like the next game as much because it's different. And I think that's
Oh, for sure.
really
And
fun.
I mean, that's the curse of MK games
Yeah.
has been how different they have been from game to game because that has single-handedly lost us so many players, competitive players, over the years. Is that we've seen just a huge drop off of players. Yeah, we see an incline in players, but now it's primarily a brand new community that even I look around and barely recognize a handful of people from when I started.
Yeah, that's
So that's a problem, but a different problem all in itself. Where again, all of our legacy guys just they're barely around and or not around.
and that's what's like coming from the Smash community. There's a very very active Super Smash Bros. Melee scene, which was the one that came out like 23 years ago. And I think that kind of like feeds into the fact that there is like alongside the newest Smash game, there is this Melee scene that's at a lot of the same tournaments and stuff. And since the new Smash Ultimate has been out for over 5 years at this point, I think it's going on 6. I've seen a lot of people transition from Ultimate to Melee. And now they're very active in the Melee scene, and now they're competing and stuff. And it's kind of like MK doesn't really seem to have that, where it's like I guess like there's like these other like sub communities, but it's not like there's this other MK game that like is kind of like. And we play the newest one and this one. There isn't really anything like that because there's like people who play 9, people who play X, people who play Injustice 1, people who play Injustice
it's all
2.
over.
Yeah,
Because they're so different.
yeah, exactly. So it's like people have the one that they really really enjoy. Or like even just like particular thing, like MK11 will always have a special place just because of Joker, the way that they made him, and like how he played and stuff. Just everything fed into what I enjoy about fighting games. So maybe MK11 mechanically wasn't the best, but I'll always remember it as one of my favorite games of all time. Just to like landing a kapow with Joker and moving around, the movement felt so great, and like it was just my little tangent.
Good times.
Sorry. So
Good times, that's for sure.
So, you've been competing and doing a lot of stuff with the MK games. You said basically since MK9. Do you have a favorite NRS game, and potentially even like a favorite NRS moment, whether that's competing, commentating, or whatever?
Favorite NRS game, MKX, followed closely by Injustice 1.
The crazy
I'm
games.
I'm a savage. I know.
Yeah.
Just because it was so fun, and I personally had so much of a great time with it. With the community and with the game itself. And the same goes for MKX.
Yeah.
My no, go ahead.
No, I just remember I've been when I went to NEC this past year, I stayed at Cosner's place, so we had some like talks and stuff like that. And the way that he talks like so fondly about like MK9, like Injustice days and stuff like that, and the way the community worked, like it makes me almost envious that I wasn't like there back then. And he he remembers that part so fondly. Yeah. So it's
where he was a big part of that. Like just to put things in perspective, like I remember I was in Virginia. I would come up to a Northeast event with an entire crew. I would see Costner with his entire Northeast crew, and it was just this massive, reunion of two giant communities that had been watching each other from a distance, and then we would meet, and it's really cool that. And then you see like the Florida crew show up, and then you see the Colorado crew, and then you see the SoCal crew, and you're like, oh shit, and you know all those names and faces because you would watch the local tournament and go, oh, that's so and so, so and so, so and so, and so and so, literally from that region, and that was just how it was. It's just how it was, and it's no longer how it is.
Yeah. That's right. And that's kind of like having that like that region loyalty is something that I am fond of. I remember not this past EVO, but the one before, we tried to put on like the North America versus like the world like crew battle, and unfortunately they didn't end up working out. But region loyalty is something that's very like prevalent. Like I like to relate things back. Like the top 100 ranking stole it directly from the Smash community. Half my great ideas are just stolen from the Smash community. But like doing like because there are other local scenes, but like having like regional loyalty, like cheering for the people when you go to majors that are at your locals and stuff like that.
Regional pride,
Yeah.
I'm in Texas. I don't give a damn about most fighting games, but I'm over here watching Melty Blood because the guys from Texas going, Texas, baby.
100%. This guy goes to my local, like I want to watch, and maybe we don't even talk that much, but because we're at the same tournament or from the same state, or like even like the MKNJ guys, it's like tri-state, and then it's kind of like okay, East Coast, and then kind of like kind of having that unity.
seeing someone from my local do really well offline, and I have this year like that. I haven't got to do that in like 7 years to be able to go, holy shit, this is the guy from my local, and I'm gonna tell you all about him. Get ready to be surprised, ladies and gentlemen. And like you hardly get kind of those moments of like, oh shit, so and so from so and so. And then like someone has the knowledge and the story.
I remember. I think it was when you were commentating. Enzo went on that big run at Evo where he beat like Gurr and like Conqueror,
that's the one.
And you're like, "Yeah, let's go Enzo!" And it was like, it's like cool to see, like like, oh, that's the guy from my local. He's the Quan Chi player. Like, he's been up and coming.
And just by even saying that, so many people now go, "Oh shit, the Quan Chi player from Texas." And he's absolutely killing it. But before I forget, you did ask me what my favorite moment was.
Yes.
And I've got it. And this is a fun one. It involves someone already mentioned on this podcast. It was at a regional in Mortal Kombat X in my home city. It was one that I helped organize. It was a regional called Top of the Food Chain. It was bi-monthly. It was one of the biggest ones. We would on average get like about 100 people total. For Mortal Kombat, we would average like 30 to 60.
Okay.
For MKX.
Yeah. But that's still a lot.
And for years, and I had never won one before. I was considered one of the best in the area. I had gotten second and third in Injustice 1 like 4 to like 9 times. Never won it. And someone that had won it multiple times prior, he had won like two in a row before MKX was released. This player comes into town. And this is the night before the event. We're at a restaurant. This player, by the name of Tom Brady, we're at a dinner table. It was a TGI Fridays, and I'll never forget it. I know the name of the restaurant. It was a TGI Fridays. Their Jack Daniels ribs were pretty damn decent. He goes on this what felt like 30-minute rant about how free our scene was and how free of a victory it was going to be for him the next day. 30 minutes straight It was fucking unreal, and
Yeah.
I left that dinner table with the fury of 1,000 fucking waterfalls. It was insane. I had never been so fucking angry in my life.
That's funny.
Oh my
That's
god!
awesome.
I turned to my partner and I'm like, "What the fuck did that man just say?
Mm,
Holy shit!" And
mm,
so the next day, semifinals, winner's
mm,
side, I have to face Tom Brady,
mm.
and I put him in losers.
Oh, let's go.
I'm in grand finals, winner's side. Brady makes it into no. I take it back. Brady puts me in the losers.
Brady puts you in the losers. Okay.
I make grand finals. He's up 2-0 on me in grand finals,
Hmm.
and I win 5 straight.
So you
No, sorry, I take it back. I was in winner's side. I do apologize. It was some time ago. This was
Yeah, that's fair.
2015.
That's almost 7 years ago. That's fair.
I did put him in losers.
Mhm.
He meets me in grand finals. He 3-0s me,
Mhm.
and he's up 2-0.
Mhm.
And I reverse 3-0, and it's the only time I've ever seen this in NetherRealm history and almost FGC history. And the VOD is still available if you guys want to see it. The entire scene rushes the stage and like is jumping around me trying to lift me up. Because I just defeated the guy that came in and said what he said at the dinner table the night before, and everyone knew what he said, and the entire scene was all regional pride.
Mhm.
And that's why it is my favorite moment of all time, is that I won that for the entire my scene.
Yeah.
And I defended the house. It was
That
the best fucking moment ever.
that is amazing. That should be like its own video in general. Like you just do that scene, you talk the documentary style, go in and out.
I might have to because dude,
Mhm.
the TGI Friday speech is what really did it.
Yeah, I know Tom Brady definitely has some famous rants, so I can only imagine what he was saying. Yeah, that's
Yeah, so that's my personal favorite story from as a competitor and as quite a few things in this scene.
that is amazing. That's always a great story when you're able to kind of overcome the rival or like the bully or whatever or the favorite or it's just like
the invader.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, so that's awesome. It's definitely a heartwarming story. Dare I say? So so recently the state of Mortal Kombat 1, the meta kind of had a drastic change. I've kind of been enjoying it. A lot of the cameos got buffed. A lot of decent character buffs, some character nerfs. Kind of got rid of the armor spamming characters that kind of just went around that and reworked them a little bit. How do you currently feel about the state of the game as a player, or I guess overall, because it affects everything?
I actually like it, and I know that people say what they say and feel how they feel, but personally, I really enjoy the game. I love the gameplay of it. Not necessarily the game overall. I have my gripes with things, of course, but with the gameplay itself and the core gameplay, I really enjoy it. It's the most fun I've had since MKX. Personally, when it comes to the gameplay, I did not have much fun with Injustice 2. I really enjoyed MK1, but mechanically, when it comes to Mortal Kombat, I want armor.
Yo.
Oh my god, I love armor.
Yeah.
It is my favorite mechanic in all of Mortal Kombat. And so when they brought armor back, I was like, yes. I don't have to play neutral.
Yes. That's basically what it is.
It's just all of those Mortal Kombat 9 games came back to me, at least, from Mortal Kombat 9, from Mortal Kombat X, where that's what I did. That was one of my favorite things to do, and so many other little things where, a lot of characters and teams are viable. It's just a shame that people will only choose what is perceivably the best, and that is boring. But it is what it is. I do think that a lot of characters and cameos are competitively viable, though. And you can't and you can't ask for much more than that because if you change something, then something else changes, and Homelander might need to get smacked in the mouth a couple more times.
My big thing with Homelander is just like the screen vibration. Like I almost get like a headache when I'm playing him because it's just like he goes like off the screen and like the way the camera follows him and some of the moves, it literally like I was playing earlier today and like it gave me like whiplash. Like I literally dropped my next combo because I like couldn't see it because it was just like. But I digress. Bug characters, we can go into all that, but we won't.
No, but seriously, I personally like where the game stands. I would like to see a lot of cameos still get juiced up a bit, and some of those, original characters that may not have been touched. But other than that, I like most of the changes that they've made to the game.
Yeah. They've
And
been
what they started with.
they've been juicing up Sonya a lot recently, which has been
Oh
a lot of fun for me because like they buffed
That
her
last
and
one,
yeah.
Why?
You did not need it. Yeah.
She was already nearing my list of like top cameos before that patch, and then I spent all of my time playing Frost, going, "Oh, I can't wait to Frost changes."
Yeah,
no.
And there's some stuff, but
those never came. But Frost is a great example of a cameo that's basic, has her tools and uses, and I still feel like is a competitively viable cameo if in the right hands doing certain things.
I really like my three favorite MK characters are Reptile, Ermac, Cyrex, or Sector, and those three have been added to the game. Reptile, then Ermac and Sector DLC. So I play all three of those. And Ermac, Frost is a really, really fun team and interesting team because of like how plus you can get off the lifts and stuff like that and getting like the orbs out and stuff. It's a really like...
That's the first thing that I thought. I haven't seen that team, but that's the first thing I thought of was EX lift, orb, and then what are you going to do afterwards?
Yeah, because then you do Death Embrace into orb, and now you're just kind of setting up and you have all the cancels with the orb coming and stuff.
So I do that with Rain, and not a lot of people may have seen the setup before, but it's my favorite thing to do. It's a complete waste of resources, but you get a hit with Rain, with Frost, and then you hit him with a fully charged water beam, puts him in that long crumble, and then you Frost Orb, and then you EX Water Bubble, which covers you and moves with you. And so you go to your opponent, the Frost Orbs come in on their wake up, and you 50-50'd like invisibly. You cannot see the mix up that's coming at all because it's hiding behind the water.
Yeah.
And there's an orb coming to break armor.
Yeah, so that's there's so many mind games, so many layers behind that.
Yeah.
Ermac has some sauce. So if you put up the frost wall and you do a combo and you teleport, so you could hit them, but you're on the other side of it. You could back two will actually pull them through the wall. It's very interesting, and I discovered it once, and it was like it's fun. It's fun. It really throws off the other person.
So I mean, just based on this conversation, you guys can hear it. I currently like where things are.
Yeah, no, me too. I think the buffs, the games of cameos, like with the Jax, like got you grab. Now it's like, oh, you were upset about poke special into cameo, use Jax, and then you can just call it out, bam, and now they're unsafe, and so it's like I think they've been adding new moves to characters is something that like I wouldn't have guessed they would do at the beginning, but I think it was a really good call.
I really like that they have, and I want to see more because we know that there are more thanks to invasions.
Yeah,
I just seen Ray go throw some spear specials. That was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, or like
yeah. So you never know.
Yeah.
And with these cameos, hopefully we get some new cameos too. I would like to see some.
Yeah. I know that was a huge thing with the Chaos Range. Was like people were mad about the price point, and then they were mad about the there's no cameos and stuff. And I don't know, like was it kind of expensive? Yeah, I feel like
this is for everyone that paid for it.
Yeah. Pour one out. Yeah.
Yeah. It was steep.
It was steep.
The price was steep on this DLC, but the balance changes that came with it were nice.
Yeah, and I think like the way I look at it, like I'll probably get a few hours of gameplay time out of each character, and that's what like 20 hours of play time for like $50. Like that's cheaper than going bowling or going out to eat or something. Yeah. It's like I'm gonna get my money's worth for sure.
You know, Poseidon, I wish more people looked at it that way. Yeah. I really, really do, because this is where a lot of people fuck themselves. I hope you don't mind me cursing.
No, you're fine.
You know, they'll play Mortal Kombat for 526 hours. And then say the game is trash and they want a refund or something.
It's like, you got so much value out of this game.
I'm like, what? Because at some point you got your money's worth. Yeah. Because at some point, $50 or $60, however much the game cost, $110 when it came out.
Yeah, true. And then,
you know, elsewhere will only get you so much, you know, entertainment and time.
Yeah.
As far as how long you are entertained, and so that's how I look at things.
Mm-hmm.
Is you know, when I buy a game, even if I don't like the game, if I put in like 40 hours, I'm like, I kind of got my money's worth.
Yeah, no, you definitely did.
Because when I drop like, $50 or $100 at a restaurant for 2 hours for like 30 minutes
Mm-hmm.
and a couple hours of energy
Mm-hmm.
that I traded that for versus 40 hours of
Yeah,
something.
the value is definitely more there.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
there's definitely different ways to look at it, but I do wish people would look at it that way, where if that I wish they would complain less.
Yeah,
if they realize that they got their money's worth.
Yeah, I think,
but most people feel that they don't, and I understand that too.
and we spoke earlier about like kind of the reliance basically we have kind of at WB right now to be like, hey, like announce something so we can have a competitive scene. But I think there's all the complaining and stuff like that. I feel like, and I guess we kind of already touched on it, but I want to say it again because I think it's such a big point of just the community is the people that play the game. The community isn't WB. The community isn't NRS. So what you put out there, and like I know like people are going to complain, people are going to hate mechanics, people are going to think the game is scrubby or whatever, but when you are making it like, especially you're a good player, popular player, or good content creator or whatever, more people are going to repeat that rhetoric because you kind of put that out there. And I think kind of like shitting on the game is just so okay, you know what I mean? That makes sense. So like, sure, people are going to agree with you. You'll have a lot of people agreeing with you.
Yeah, and it is going to be parroted by parrots.
Yeah,
essentially, kind of no matter what, which is what it is.
Yeah, which is kind of my whole. I talked about Tom Brady. Well, we won't talk about him more again, but like, just like you put so much negativity out there, and it's like you talk about like other games like Street Fighter and stuff have the arcade people still there, but like someone like Tom Brady is our arcade guy, supposedly.
Yeah,
I don't know, and he's like what he puts out there, like it's sorry.
No, like no that. Again, that is part of it, is that our OGs just simply aren't around, and if they are, they're either shitting on the game or not interested at all, or doing something else, not really involved. Other than a few, there's a lot of outliers. I mean,
for sure,
one of the biggest ones right now, Darth Arma, absolutely throwing the Northeast scene on his back right now.
100%, like just running weeklies, like
so
for how much he's done, like he's like
Arma baby.
Dude, shout out to Arma 100%. Great dude. And what I think about like the NRS community, he's definitely one of the people I think about, because of when I got into the thing, like at the end of Injustice 2, like he was one of the people I heard commentate, like you and like Katana Prime and Ultra David, and like
he was a commentator even before me.
Who, Katana?
Arma.
Arma, okay. Yeah.
And Katana.
Yeah.
But Arma was the very first person I ever commentated with on like any capacity, and he was like he was like the guy and like the veteran. I'm just some guy that walked up and did it. Like it was a way different time. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But he has been such a great staple of the community, and I'm really glad and proud of what he's doing now to single-handedly rebirth offline up there.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, that is like, I've never heard of someone going to an offline and like it being negative in any capacity. They're always like, oh my god, like I need to go to more of these. Yeah. So it just
and that has been growing up there, and the people that go to them, that's what people are starting to see, is like when they see the after, and everyone's like, oh my god, it was the best time ever, and they're like, oh, I got to go to that now.
Because they have a really strong, I mean the scene is like stacked. They have a bunch of like regular people, like like Hercules, Bean, Mist, Silence Return, like I mean Gur, like that's cool thing. Is like
that's not even for the big ones. Gur, Zombat still up there.
Yeah,
so many others.
But Gur is definitely someone that I feel like carries the scene more than people would realize, just because he's always had stuff like you see like a big turn. He was at DreamHack Atlanta last weekend. Like he's going to ECT. He was at like Frosty Fausting. Like he's at like all these, always going to these tournaments, and doesn't like stream a ton, doesn't compete online a ton, but it's always one of the best players when he shows up, and it's really cool to see.
He's just a great representative of what an FGC member kind of is from our scene. Is Gur. He's a grinder, travels, heavily focused, and very good at that. Very, very good. And the nicest guy you'll ever meet in your life.
Yeah, it's like it's funny because like when you watch him play, he almost like has like that's like the only time you'll see him like look even mean, and then he'll just be like he'll have like a stern look.
Gur when he's not competing, greatest guy ever. Competing, it's serial killer focus.
Yeah, no, the level of focus, like the way he plays, and yeah, they said the level of focus, and like you can tell, like, and that's that's something that makes like a good player. Like you see some of the there was this really big really good player from my local scene, and like every time he was playing, especially like in a tense set, like after you go to talk to them, they almost like can't even like make like a straight conversation because they were just so locked in and focused that afterwards it's like, oh
yeah, they have to get back to reality.
Yeah,
and that's probably gonna take some time, that's for sure.
Yeah, so that's awesome. So I've had you for a little while now, so I'll definitely start to wrap it up. I know you mentioned like your favorite FGC moment. Do you have a favorite like FGC moment that is like from a third party that you maybe you commentated and it was for someone else, or that you saw on a stream and you weren't even like you were just spectating?
Oh, you mean like moment that I've seen?
Yeah. That was like maybe not for you, but for just a general FGC win or Mortal Kombat win, or just a heartwarming story or something like that. Does that make sense?
I've never been asked that before. Wow, that is not something I think about often.
Yeah.
Woo! Because there's so many, and I'm blessed and cursed to have been a part of like so many myself. That it's like,
yeah, because like
give me a moment.
Yeah, I will. I'm sorry.
I will. Wow. No, you might.
You gotta stop because I think about like there's just like cool moments you see like especially when someone like gets like a big win or something like that, like watching Dialogue win like Texas Showdown when he like threw the chair. There's just like that level of emotion. You could tell like how much he like Driver, like how much he cared about it or stuff like that, or something where it's like someone who's like super nice or someone who like didn't win a lot and they just kept showing up and they won, kind of like the stories like that. I think are really cool and I think are kind of littered around the community but not really told. Some of these runs
and most of mine are probably from just back in the day, and I'm having a hard time remembering them. Like in those Injustice 1 MKX days, because those were my peak competitive days where I would like watch someone that no one knew about do something great and be there on the sides, like popping off and like having that memory. But maybe, damn.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'd love to get back to y'all because again, just being a part of so many moments and memories, it's when I get asked my favorites, it's really hard for me, personally. So I'll have to get back to on that one. Beside,
I think
that's a tough one.
There was, and this maybe is not the best moment, but I'll go back to something that I remember you talked about where when you first knew who like Online Kale was, and he was at your event and he got top 8. And then it was it was a second generation competitive MK player. Like that was just like that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That one got me a little bit emotional that night, because I'll go ahead and tell everyone. This was just from this year. During a Coliseum event, a young player made top 8, and I noticed a name in the chat, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "What the fuck? No way!" And then he said that he was the father of the player that was playing, and I almost cried because I recognized the name immediately, and I Googled it. I pulled up just to double check I was right, and the person in the chat's name was Online Tony. And Online Tony, in the very first evolution for Mortal Kombat 9, made top 8 and has an Evo medal in Mortal Kombat. His son was 1 year old when he got that medal. His son is now one of the best Mortal Kombat players in North America.
Yeah.
And I got to be there to kind of unravel that live for like being one of the first people to kind of put that together and realize who this young kid is.
Yeah.
And being essentially a fighting game prodigy, and that definitely was special to be a part of.
Yeah.
And to even see, like, if I was watching that and I wasn't the commentator figuring it out, I would have also been like, oh my god. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Just because I love that stuff, and all the father son and even mother son combos that have been competing this year and last year have been really cool, and just really it's really heartwarming to see from the outside looking.
Yeah, because it's really cool to see, like, because like a lot of what like these tournaments are, they have like their storylines and stuff like that. Like before Final Combat, they were doing like, the interviews with the players, and you kind of get to understand what it all means to them and how they got there and what they put in and stuff. So that's basically what you're doing. With like the Coliseum example, you're kind of creating these communities and these storylines that kind of get unraveled and told before us, and it's like a story, and like that's something that I'm like basically like addicted to. You know what I mean? Just like seeing how this tournament played out. It's almost like they said, like a story in a way.
That's what I like to even refer to other commentators as these days. Is not even I don't even call them commentators at events anymore. I just call them storytellers. That's essentially what we do.
Yeah,
is we're just telling the story that's happening at that event.
Mm. It's amazing. It's awesome. So I said I've had you for a little while now, so I'll wrap it up with this. Is there anything that you thought maybe I would ask, or anything that you were hoping to say that we didn't get around to? I would say the floor is yours. Got any messages or anything?
You hit a lot of stuff I was hoping to hit. I wasn't sure if you were going to ask, about some of the nitty gritty things happening in the scene that you see right now. But no, we talked about a lot of it, and a lot of stuff I would hope to get across to anyone that listens to this is, what things look like right now, how things could get better. I hope that you guys learned something here about the competitive Mortal Kombat scene. If you're involved with it, stay involved with it. Get active. That's for sure. Bringing locals back is going to be a really big thing. So if you guys have a tournament by you, near you, find it, take part in it or something. Understand if you can't, but just being active has been real helpful. Spreading words, all that fun stuff. But thank you so much for even bringing me on here, Poseidon. It was an absolute blast. And again, always great to talk some competitive Mortal Kombat.
Absolutely, and I'm sure we'll talk more. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an honor. As I said, you're one of the first people that, like, when I think of competitive NRS, that was, I guess, one of the people that essentially bridged me into the competitive community. So I probably wouldn't be a Poseidon if there wasn't an Aquaman. As funny as that sounds.
I mean, it's supposed to be the other way around, but
yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, and I'll make sure to leave links in the description of Mr. Aquaman's like socials, Twitter, YouTube, everything. Maybe he has an Instagram. I'm not sure. We don't really do Instagram, but yeah, anything social that he has, I'll leave linked in the description. Definitely make sure to drop him a follow, pound him for when the next Coliseum season is going to start. Even though he just finished. And I'll see you guys at the next video.